Yo guys, what's up? Jerome here, and today we're talking about the best healers in Phase 3 of Wrath of the Lich King. We'll be covering the pros and the cons of all the healers in Phase 3. And you've got to remember, this isn't just the DPS pumping phase. You've got to have a really good healing core so you can keep your raid alive and get maximum loot from the tribute chests. In TOC Heroic, you're going to be bringing between 3 and 4 healers for speedruns. Meanwhile, normal runs will have up to 5 healers. Just like in Ulduar, dual spec is going to be absolute king. You'll definitely want to be able to swap your Resto Druids and your Resto Shamans to Boomkids and Ellie Shamans. And plus, since Blizzard wants to keep Ulduar viable, you'll definitely want to be able to drop to 2 or 3 healers to speed clear the raid. Okay, so let's jump right into the tier list with the B tier. The only class I've got in the B tier is Holy Priest. I've played a little bit of Holy Priest here and there in Phase 2, and it hasn't been bad at all. But Holy Priests just aren't very hot right now, and they're not seeing any viability in speedruns. That being said, I actually do believe in the scaling of Holy Priests. Holy Priests scale really well with their haste, their int, their spell power, plus your 4 set 9.5 is actually really good for Holy Priests. The 2 set bonus increases your healing done by Prayer of Mending by 20%. That's actually really good for Holy Priests, since a lot of your healing comes from Prayer of Mending. And even the 4 set bonus is really nice, giving you an extra 10% instant healing from your Empowered Renew. Okay, moving into the A tier, we have Resto Druids. Man, I've been absolutely loving the Resto Druid gameplay in Ulduar. In fact, I'm even next in line for a Valanir in my 9 AM GDKP. But if you just start to look at a typical roster in TOC, Resto Druid just doesn't really fit in. If you're speedrunning, you're not going to be running a Resto Druid, you're going to be running 2 Holy Paladins and a Disc Priest. And if you're running 4 healers, you could definitely fit in the Resto Druid, but you might just bring a Resto Shaman instead. One of the issues with Phase 3 Resto Druid is how easy it is to hit haste cap. It doesn't necessarily feel like your gear is working in tandem with you to make you as strong as possible. Plus, your 2 set bonus from 9.5 is actually downright bad. Increasing the critical strike chance of your Nourish would be nice, except you don't really even use Nourish that much. Meanwhile, your 4 set unlocks the ability for rejuvenation to crit from critical strikes. There's a big problem with that. You're just not really set up to get those critical strikes in Phase 3. My biz list that I made only has 16% crit, and sure, I could do some things to make it higher, but it just doesn't feel worth it. Though I am in love with Resto Druids, and I do want to mention one really positive thing. The Idol of Flare and Growth is going to be amazing in Phase 3. Basically, the Idol of Flare and Growth gives you an almost permanent 234 spell power bonus. I know it'll give you some mana issues since you won't be able to use your mana idol, but that is where my very favorite trinket in the game comes in, Solace of the Fallen. More than any other healer in the game except Disc Priest, I really feel like Resto Druid shines with Solace. Also in the A tier, we have Resto Shamans. Resto Shamans just always seem to scale really well. By the end game in TBC, they had so much haste, so much spell power, so much regen, they were just absolute monsters. You're already starting to see the scaling coming into play. Plus, Resto Shamans are starting to show out as the best solo healers in the entire game. A lot of really good loot comes from 10-man, so being able to solo heal is a big bonus. Plus, I have a hot take. Without trash, I actually think Resto Shamans are even better. Think about it like this. Typically, you wouldn't be able to bloodlust on trash, but now you'll be able to bloodlust on every single fight in TOC. It's also worth noting that you have 2 extra really awesome totem options in Phase 3. For one, you have the Totem of Calming Tides. Every time you cast a chain heal, you have a chance to get 234 spell power. Similar to the Idol for the Druids, and from what I've seen, this is almost a 100% uptime. Also, I know we talked about this earlier, but Resto Shamans are really awesome to dual spec to Ellie. I'm already predicting people are going to want a 2 heal Ulduar to go back and get all that sweet loot. It's really a huge asset to be able to swap between big heals and big damage at any moment. Moving into the S tier, we have a real shocker. This time around, I'm actually downgrading Holy Paladins. I know Holy Paladins are amazing, and you're probably going to run 2 in every single raid. They really are providing so much to the raid with their buffs, their desec, their amazing heals. But let's talk about some things that make them not quite as good in Phase 3. First of all, their set bonuses are just plain underwhelming. The 2 set bonus increasing the duration of your judgments by 10 seconds gives you a small HPS increase. But how excited really are you to put that on for the first time? And I'd also argue that Holy Paladins benefit the least from Solace, which is the best trinket in the phase. From my research, you're going to probably be last to get Solace, and you're going to be stuck with Meteorite Crystal. And I know this logic is a little bit silly, but if you already got Valanir, you're kind of getting weaker next phase. All the other healers in the game are going to be getting better weapons, but you're just stuck with that Valanir. But hey, I still accept that Holy Paladins are absolutely amazing, but there's just one healer that's temporarily taken the crown from them in Phase 3. Disc Priest just scales so amazingly well in Phase 3. With Borrowed Time, you're getting a 40% flat increase to your shield from your spell power. The stronger a Disc Priest gets, the more and more broken they get, and the more obnoxious for other healers. On fights like Valkyr Twins and Anubarak, you can just blanket the entire raid with shields. You could probably function with only 1 Holy Paladin, but if you didn't have a single Disc Priest, your raids would be a complete disaster. Plus, the more and more I play with better guilds, the more I value spells like Pain Suppression. Being able to save your tank whenever things get bad is going to be so important for wipeless runs. That being said, Disc Priests aren't perfect in Phase 3. One of the biggest problems I found when trying to plan out my Phase 3 gear set is that you just have too much haste. I mean, sure, you're getting faster Prayer of Healing procs, but it really doesn't help your power shield at all. And one more note on Disc Priest is that your set bonus is just kind of bad. For one thing, Holy Priestess get way more out of the 20% Prayer of Mending buff, and I'm really not getting out of bed in the morning for that 4-set 10% buff to Divine Aegis. My final note on Disc Priest is that you actually get a big buff by not having Valenier. Being able to get a weapon like Suffering's End is going to really help your HPS since you didn't have a Valenier before. While everybody else is stagnating with their awesome Valeniers, you're going to be pulling ahead. And speaking of pulling ahead, you're really going to want to pull ahead on your Phase 3 prep. That's why you should check out my Phase 3 prep guide next. Check it out. Click it.